So, obviously, you know my name's Ian, and today we are going to be looking at ICT. Who here is used to computer?
Yeah.
Good. That's good to see some feedback. That's a good start. Right, okay. Shall I have my picture of a computer?
Yeah.
So I just thought I'd throw that in there. I've tried to put a lot more pictures on the handout, which I'm going to give you, but... Oh, there we go. But Microsoft Word on the Mac really isn't my friend. So, by the end of today's exercise, the session, we are going to be able to do what's on the board. Okay? And I'm going to rush through it as quickly as possible so that we can get straight to the activity. But I'm going to do just a little bit of an explanation beforehand as to what it's actually going to involve. So, an IT system contains some of the following things. First of all, it contains hardware. Now, hardware, obviously demonstrating there, is stuff. It's stuff that you find in a computer. So, can someone give me an example of a piece of hardware?
A screen.
A screen, good. It's the stuff that you can see, it's the stuff that you can touch in a computer. Simple as that, okay? So, it's the screen, anything else? Keyboards, mouse, the microchips that are inside it, anything that's hard, okay? What else does an IT system contain? It contains software. And now, software, as it says there, are the programs. What kind of software can you think of? Microsoft software. Did we hear the news today about Microsoft?
Yes, they're not doing very well.
They're not doing very well at all. They need to do a bit more software. Okay. It also includes operating systems. So Microsoft operating systems, but at the same time you've got Word, PowerPoint, Excel. Any other pieces of software people can think of that they want to throw out there?
iTunes?
Yeah, that'll do. You can see where your head's at. Right, okay. Another thing that an IT system needs is data. Now that one is an awful lot of words in an incredibly bad font, so I'll read through that one quickly. It's the quantities, characters or symbols on what operations are performed by a computer being stored and transmitted in the form of electronic signals and recorded magnetic, optical or mechanical recording media. So what that basically means is it is the codes. It's the ones and the zeros that means that the software and the hardware can read and can talk to each other. Yeah? Simple enough?
Yeah. Excellent.
Right. And finally, the user. Now, can anyone give me an example of a user?
Anyone.
Exactly. You're all users, I'm a user, everyone's a user. Right? And the idea is that a ICT system has to contain all of those features to be an IT system. Without any of those characteristics, it's not an ICT system. There is one final thing, which is communication. Now, communication is not essential in an ICT system, however, it is included in the majority of them. And what communication is it's demonstrating that it can fire data from one place to another. And whether it is using a phone, or using the internet, or even just transferring from one device to another, it's all communication. But I didn't include that one, because it's not essential. Okay, right, a fire. Now, what does a fire need to be able to work? What three elements do you need in a fire?
Fuel.
Fuel. Fuel. Oxygen. And
Something to ignite it.
Friction.
heat. You absolutely have to use all three of those particular elements to be able to make a fire. If you don't have those three elements, a fire's not going to start. If you don't have oxygen, it's not going to start. If you don't have fuel, if you don't have heat. And it's exactly the same with an ICT system. An ICT system is not an ICT system unless it has hardware, software, data and user. Okay? So, now it's the task. More pictures. As I said, Microsoft Word wasn't working very well for me, so I couldn't quite get these pictures onto there, but I did try. So, excuse the handouts for their very simplistic nature, but they'll do. Right. If I hand that way, or I'll take one for yourself, sorry. Thank you. Right. Now, this is a very, very simple document. What we've got is the characteristics of an ICT system. So, it has to have hardware, it has to have software, it has to have data and user. Is it an IT system? Those are the headlines that we've got on the top. So, if you want to get your phone out, you've got a mobile?
Yeah.
Mine's in my car.
Okay? Well, that's fair enough. You can borrow mine.
Yeah.
Right. There's my phone.
Yeah.
Okay, so, on your phone, it obviously has hardware. So, as I've demonstrated on here, you've got the screen, the buttons, the microchips inside, the radio transmitters. It has everything in there to be able to be hardware. Okay? It also has software. So, it's got things like phone books, voicemails, games, if you've got them on your phone. Depends on... Just. Yeah. Has it got a colour screen?
Yes.
Yes.
This is my modern one.
Oh, brilliant. I've got a brick in the car somewhere. Yeah.
That's what I had before.
In fact, I think I've got a couple of cups on a piece of string. It's also got data. So, the data is the information, as I said on the information that is stored in the computer. So, it can be numbers, addresses, texts, as I put on there. And also, it's got a user. You have to obviously have a user for it to be an ICT system. And on this particular instance, the user is the person who is making the calls and the fact that you are typing the text. So, you are the user, and in the final column, yes, it is an ICT system. So, now it's down to you guys. What I'd like you to do is have a look at the items that are on the left-hand side. Think about very carefully. I'm not expecting you to write out every single little bit of hardware that there is in all of them. Just literally put a tick in the boxes and see if you can figure out which ones of these are IT systems, ICT systems, and which ones are not. Simple. So, crack on. And if you've got any questions, I'll try my best. Now, what I have written is an extension for this particular task, which is if you fly through it mega quickly, you can think of your own IT systems that I haven't included. However, I don't think we're going to have very much time to do the extensions, so we'll just do a few more, and then the first person who finishes them we'll stop right there. As I said before, I'm used to doing tasks that take 4 hours. Right, should we take a pause there and we'll go through some of the answers. So, first off, car stereo. Who has any points to make on a car stereo?
Buttons for hardware.
Yeah.
Button screen because it displays what it's...
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about software?
It tells you what radio station it is.
Exactly. It tells you what tracks it is. It stores in it so it has a facility to be able to store the radio stations. Data. What's the data?
Is the text.
Yeah. It's so simple, but it can be the text that just simply says what the track name is, or what the radio station is, and the user. So is it an IT system?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Right. Newspaper. Does it have hardware?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It does have. Yes, it is the paper. Does it have software?
Yes.
Does it have software?
Well, I would say
No.
yes.
What would you say the software is?
Okay, then maybe I wouldn't.
So if we go back to the definition of software.
Yeah, no, I would say not.
Okay. Does it have data?
Yes.
Yeah.
And does it have a user?
Yes.
So is it an ICT system?
No.
No, because it doesn't have all 4 of those elements to it. I'll let you think about the other ones yourself. I'm not going to bother going around. We'll go to desk lamp, last but not least though. Does it have hardware?
Yeah.
Yes. Does it have data?
No.
No. It's a light. You turn it on.
That's what light it is! I've got a fat doodly light in mine, I tell you.
See, now a light with a clapper might possibly have an IT system involved. Yeah, this is getting a little bit more
Light
complicated.
the radio.
Now I did this one with my learners, and we worked out that actually an air hockey table is an ICT system because it's got the hardware, which is if you think about just the scoring system on an air hockey table, you've got the sensors that detect when you've scored, and you've got the screen which displays the scoring. You've got the software which is keeping track of what the score is. You've got the data which is the actual score. So if you score a goal, the data is sent from the triggers up to the main unit. And you've also got the user, which is the person who's scoring the goal in the first place. So it is actually an ICT system. And it's really, really weird. Typically, you would only think a computer is an IT system. But you've got so much more. There are so many more systems out there that if you take a step back and actually think, well, a television, well, it does have hardware, it does have software, it does have data. Oh, it must be an ICT system, and they are everywhere. Everywhere you look, you've got ICT systems. So very quickly, if I point, can you give a definition of hardware?
It's a thing that you can see.
It's a thing you can hold.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Software?
It's inside the programs.
The programs. Brilliant. Data?
The information.
The information. User?
The person that's using it.
Fantastic. So there we go. Now if we go back to the objectives, if I can remember which page it's on. There we go. Right, objective number 1, recognise an ICT system. We've just done it. Objective number 2, know simple definitions for basic ICT vocabulary. You know hardware, software, data and user. Done.
Yeah.